Chapter 40. This time the nightmare is about what happened after the Roux. My mom, with a bloody nose, dabbed aloe vera on my neck. My siblings were still hiding in their rooms, she cried. The dream stays stuck there. Us, sitting on the floor defeated, believing that's all we'd ever be. Today I'm going to save Addie from a life like that. Trash is all the same. My first thought is to take her truck away. But I have a big problem. If I tell her I saw them, that it was me that honked, she'd ask what I was doing on Simcoe and where I was coming from. I don't have to tell her, but if I don't, she'll know I'm hiding something. I could lie. I'm a good liar. But Ada always knows when I'm lying. Even as a little girl, she'd look at me with her huge brown eyes and see through my smile. Already, she doesn't see Superman when she looks at me anymore. Convincing her I'm better than anybody, even that porch monkey she was with, would be impossible if I do it with a lie. I'll do all the things I hear other dads do with daughters. I invite her out to lunch. You remember when I used to bring you here when you were a kid?
I thought that's why you wanted to come here.
Yeah, maybe so. We bury our faces in our po' boys. The Jack Miller barbecue sauce continually smears across my face, and I'm thankful for it. All the wiping gives me time to figure out what the hell to say next. Man, I wish I'd thought past grabbing old time and taking it to Girard Park. You all right, Addie?
Me, yeah, doing fine, you?
Oh, I'm good, babe. I'll take another bite and work on my strategy. I've been worried, thinking about you more lately. We don't get to do this enough anymore.
We have busy lives now, Daddy.
I know. Just wish we could talk more,
We can talk now.
Damn it, how do I say this without incriminating myself? You remember the time we went fishing with Paw and he shot some nutria? I think it was the first time you saw nutria. Those ugly little bastards grossed you out. You even screamed when you first saw them.
They still gross me out. I don't even like staying in this park at sunset.
Yeah, I remember you said you were glad Paw shot them.
Yeah, I think they all should be shot.
She's got the idea, so now, how do I connect that to her choice in men?
You want to go fishing soon?
She asks sweetly, looking over to her slowly swinging mayonnaise at the corner of her pouty mouth. Her big brown eyes on me, expecting me to give her the world. I chase her stripper version from my head. She still sees the real me, the man I've tried to give her since my own father was so awful. She still looks to me for answers. Maybe I don't need to teach her something today. It could have been a one-time thing, testing things out. I've done my own testing. For now, I can let it go and just keep a closer eye on it. She talks about fishing and her paw. I almost lose interest until she asks how work is going. Work's good, I guess, always like a derrick. Up and down. As long as it never tanks like it did in the 80s, we'll be all right.
You still like what you're doing?
Yeah, gets the bills paid. I forget how beautiful she is, how nice she is. Being with her purges all the weird feelings I had with her stripper twin in New Orleans. She's all the best parts of me and her mama. When I look at her again, she has a weird smile on her face. What?
What?
She echoes. You're smiling.
Oh, just thinking about something one of my friends did recently.
Like what? I could use a good story.
Oh, it's stupid.
Those are my favorite. While we laugh, I see this is a part of what I've been avoiding. It can't last, especially not with the other two living in that house. B can't be made happy. Will is too far gone. But that thinking turns south when I get a call from Will after dark. Immediately, I suspect B is up to something. What are you doing calling me? Worse than B's plotting. He's interrupted a deal I'm about to close with this pretty young thing. Figured I'd make your dreams come true. I'm at a lame party and I don't have a ride home. A party, huh? I'll be damned. I'm proud of the little Kawane. T-boy, I'm a little busy right now. Too busy for a free beer? I'll buy if you order. Back where memories don't hurt, I see a young man, a young me, having his first beer with his daddy. It was a rare time I ever got to see Daddy smile at something I did. I'd always hoped I'd get to do it with my son. Funny how, after you give up on people, they can still surprise you. 15 minutes later, my son is crawling into my truck to come have a beer with his pop. But those goggles where I can see them, I've been looking for them. So where are we going, T-boy? We could go find something in Brossard, or we could stick closer to home. I'll let you choose. Let's go to Perrin's. There will be some people I could introduce you to. Both of my kids are acting like they like me in the same week. Maybe I've gotten them all wrong. Or maybe they're growing up and coming into their own. Will's shoulders are starting to square a little. His girl arms dangle from wider spots. If he can start thinking for himself, he won't believe half the shit my wife says about me behind my back. So what were you doing there? I thought you only liked playing video games. I met some new friends. Girls or guys? Need to make sure. Guys mostly, but some girls. Just wear a condom. I'm not paying for grandbabies this early. You need condoms? No, Dad. Thanks, though. What's this bar? Place I go after work. They have Bikini Fridays. Too bad it's Saturday. Most of the same old boys will be there. Trudy gets a Bud Light ready for me as I approach the bar. Cocking my head toward my son, I let her know I need one more. He doesn't wince when he takes a sip like he did when he was 10. We start making the rounds, getting him to shake firm working man's hands. The little brat is awkward, but I think that's because he's 15. No, wait, he's 16 now. He doesn't laugh when they pick at him, but doesn't try and hide behind me or anything. The younger guys, some of whom I got jobs, come and tell Will how good of a guy I am. The old barmaids tell Will how much he looks like me. Stick a bigger belly on him, and we might be twins, they say. Linda slides her hands under my arms and over my chest. She whispers in my ear, telling me I'm mixing family with pleasure. She needs to stop touching me like that for now.
Your will?
She asks. Her voice is a tease like the rest of her. Yes, ma'am. She smiles at me.
So polite. Share too, baby. And you're handsome like your daddy, too. My name is Linda.
Nice to meet you. She gives me a sarcastic thumbs up before walking away. She'll throw this in my face later. Will is giving me a look. Last thing I need is for this little marsh hen to run back to his mother about this. Nobody taught him how this works. He doesn't know how to be a real man in his world. A new beer coming across the bar without me having to order it. I'll have to explain this to him. Quoi tu put faire avec une femme comme ça? What you gonna do with a woman like that? I don't think your mom should know. She'll probably think the wrong thing. That lady has had a thing for me for a while, but I know better than to stick my dick in that alligator's mouth. He doesn't even seem to care one way or another. With enough work, maybe he'll even turn out like one of those guys, or maybe even like me. How about you do a shot with your pops? Jody, get us a couple of red snappers, and maybe shots too. Even without painful morning light. The fan above me is unfamiliar. Linda doesn't have a ceiling fan in her room, and she doesn't get out of bed before me. She certainly doesn't cook. But the smell of Trinity mixes with the end of the nightmare. This time, the nightmare had my daddy with the pan ready to go, but was frozen. Auguste stood over his shoulder. I kept waiting for Auguste to do something. Splitting dream nightmares from real ones, an angry clang comes from behind the closet door. I know exactly where I am. What the fuck, Beatrice? Stumbling down the hall, I find my son walking away from a head-splitting racket in the kitchen. She is punishing us both. Why in the hell you got to make so much goddamn noise?
I thought that's what you do when people are sleeping. At least I'm not drunk while I'm doing it. And at least I'm not getting our underage son drunk while I do it. The worst that can happen when I make a noise is that he learns how to cook.
Holy shit, Beatrice! You're going off about me bringing our son home safe. Behind me, I hear him slink off toward his room. Fine. I don't care if he sees me put his mother in her place again. Well, what are you gonna say to anything now that Will is gone and you don't have to act like you're in charge?
You being a bully, John?
And you're being a bitch.
Be careful, John.
She knows better after all these years. She should have learned. I didn't get talked to like that. It was enough for that blowhard company man to treat me like that. She picked the wrong day to do this. I'm not swallowing it this time. You threatening me?
No.
Her soap opera-soaked brain makes her think shit like this is normal. I've had enough of this. Anytime I enter this house, I pay for it. Moving toward her, contemplating the ways to break her once and for all, I glimpse something shiny over her shoulder. I see her clutch the chef's knife. Her grip on it is not one she uses to chop onions. She intends to hurt me. She's lost it. The fire that had been relit when she started banging pots is now an inferno. Readying myself to teach her, I catch her eyes peering over her shoulder. They are terrified. A glimpse from the past, and those eyes cuts into the moment. The eyes from my past belong to my mother. Bloody and bruised, she looked at me from under the covers of her bed. We were sure she would die. She stayed there for 2 weeks before she could walk without help. It was me who held the knife back then. My knuckles were white, just like bees, as I told my father to leave and never come back. Her eyes show me who I am in this picture from my past. The fire instantly gets extinguished. I'm the scared little boy again, scared of the person the knife is meant for. Walking back to my room, I put on pants and grab my bag. Without thinking, I open Will's door on my way to my truck. You coming, my boy? Baw's coming. It's Sunday. Will says, Auguste is the last person I need to see right now. The man who should have been my father will see the look on his daughter's face and know I put it there at ease. I'm tired of being a piece of shit. On his biscuits with fumbles out of my mouth before I make it out of Will's doorway. Mad at me. My ties squeal as I struggle to put road between me and this place. You gonna say something, Mr. Chenoweth's truck, I have aiming for my house. I desperately hope. What do you want me to say? I don't know. You've been acting weird. You haven't come out in forever. I got a girl now. Y'all still with stripper girl? Michelle, yes. And she doesn't strip anymore. She moved in. I've been paying her bills so she doesn't have to dance. She moved in. That's a little fast, huh? Yep. Where the hell is Yank, and how do I get him back? See, this is why we don't hang out anymore. You think you know me, John. Just because we used to run around and get in trouble together doesn't make us best friends. Okay, that's true. But you are acting all different all of a sudden. He stares straight forward, chewing slowly on his biscuit. I come for money. So much goddamned money. I hate it. All of them fake pieces of shit. I'd get into trouble just so the name would get tarnished. I got into welding because I needed something blue-collar, you know. I knew it would piss them off. Usually blue-collar people are more down-to-earth. Plus, it worked well with my art thing. I did it enough shit until they were tired of me. They give me keep-away money now. Like an allowance as long as I stay away. He sops up the last of his gravy and smacks his lips. He looks me in the eye. You were one of those down-to-earth people when I met you. I had no intention of staying in the shop because I was having fun drifting. But you were nice to me. You looked out for me. Then you started getting a hard-on for running the place. You want to run people. And you're starting to do it like my dad does.
Looking down at his blackened hands, he continues quieter.
But now I can't quit. I got someone who's real, who's messed up in the same ways as me, and who wants me to be who I am without changing me into something else. And the 2 sets of bills I got to pay for plus her school is enough for you to keep seeing my ugly Yankee face.
He smiles at me with the last statement. Yank man, I'm sorry. I was never trying to be.
I don't want your apology, John, because you don't mean it.
Little bastard thinks he's better than me. It's time he learned what real life is like. You're right. I'm not sorry because there was no silver spoon in my ass when I was born. Some of us fight to get through this world. While you're busy throwing away someone else's money, I earned all mine with blood, sweat, and tears. He crosses his legs in turn, checking the bottom of his boots. Silently, he picks at the dirt caked on the bottom of them. I can't tell if he is purposely ignoring me or that he's messed up from all the drugs. Maybe he's even more fried now that he lives with a stripper.
I guess I didn't realize how much you and my dad are alike. You and I were roughly in the same place when we met. I assumed you still thought of people as people, but really, I was on my way down to Earth, and you were on your way up to whatever the hell this is.
You sound like a fucking liberal, Yank. Come on, man. This woman has you talking like a pussy. I do what I do because this is how you get ahead in business. You can't get mad at me or your dad for that. He looks up with a big smile. He turns his welder's cap forward and over his slightly crooked nose.
The fuck I can't, John. There you go, assuming you know me. You never knew me. I'm gonna go here.
He drops $30 on the table.
This is my dad's money. I'd like him to buy your lunch.
So many pussy-whipped friends and cousins are in and out of my life. Proves my point. No real men anymore. Yank has gone crazy. This girl, seriously, messed up his mind. Made all his priorities get out of whack. He should be happy I'm so loyal. I'll still be here when she leaves him, taking all his money and saddling him with regular doctor visits to have his dick looked at. The brat doesn't show back in the shop when I get back from lunch. He's completely crazy if he thinks he can pull that shit for much longer. Before I can get to my desk to check for sales callbacks, I hear old Leonard scream my name over the din. It's the first I notice his son in the office with him. They must have kissed and made up. "John,
Have you heard back from your guy at Allcon?
Not yet,
It's been a week, John. That sale is going cold. Give him a call. You can show Matthew how this is done. What's this son of a bitch doing here? Is he trying to scare me? Finding the company man's number in my Rolodex, I call him up. Either by miracle or by curse, he picks up in his office. Hey, John, you caught me right as I was about to head back out. You recovered from that large time I showed you? Hell yeah, sort of. Well, now that you're about to head out, you might remember us when you need some tools. Old Leonard and his offspring stare at me while I grip the handset. I give them a big smile. Yeah, maybe we'll see. Look, I need to head out, John. We'll reconnect later. Oh, yeah, sure will. We'll be ready when you need something. When I put the handset down, Leonard waits for me to say something. He's heading out. Said he'd get back with us when he's on the rig and has a chance to figure out what's going on. Don't hose me, John. You spent over $1,000 in bars and restaurants. You've been running around behind my back with this guy for a while. You need to shit or get off the pot. You have a week to close, or you'll have to run all future spending through Lily in the front. Matthew, the little butt spelunker, giggles as his father scolds me. I'm getting screwed by a company man who has a few loose bolts, and a computer geek who probably gives his daddy hand jobs. Add to this Yank's little hissy fit, and I'm done with this shop for the day. Given my stand-in with Allcon, I try to think about some other customers I could round up, but nothing is popping off the boards lately. This must mean I'm supposed to call it a day. Maybe I can go see how Dud is doing with his private eye. Dud's paranoia must have rubbed off on me. After his secretary tells me he went home for the day, I start checking my rearview mirror. It takes a few miles to convince myself no one is behind me. But paranoia comes right back when I pull off East Brossard onto Dud Street. In front of his obnoxiously rich house is my father-in-law's old clunker. I nearly get cold feet. Then the paranoia strengthens, and I worry it would look worse for me to leave right after I pull up. When I get out of my truck, I can see two silhouettes under the boat cover. Dud, I told you I could get one of my guys to fix your boat. Why'd you drag poor Mr. Chenoweth all the way out here? He offered. We met up at a traffic light after I'd gone to pick up my boat from the time we took it frogging. Bonjour, Mr. Chenoweth. John! Using a MIG welder for aluminum is crazy. He's lucky he doesn't burn his arm off or cut right through the bottom of the boat. Upon looking at his patch, I could see it was stupid to doubt him. You thirsty? I'll go get some beer. What do you drink, Mr. Chenoweth? Dud office. Schlitz? As cool as okay. Auguste pushes the shield up on his helmet and looks at Dud seriously. I'll take Dud and get you some Schlitz, Mr. Chenoweth, I declare. We don't even make it out of the driveway before I start in on Dudley.
What the hell are you doing bringing my father-in-law to your house to weld your stupid-ass boat?
I told you he offered. My wife has been up and down my ass for everything. When I came back from New Orleans, she told me she would start selling my shit. To calm her down, I said I'll do it myself. I needed to get the boat fixed before I could sell it, though.
Let me get this straight. You are helping your wife sell your shit?
Not helping her. I'm selling my shit.
Damn, Dudley, you are a bigger pussy than I thought.
As my wheels reach the Circle K parking lot, he starts yelling, "Fuck you, John! You act like you got your wife on the leash. You're never around, which means she has lots of time on her hands to think about a life without you. Oh yeah, my wife sees your wife in her store all around town buying groceries. They talk. She sees how your wife is getting more and more unhappy. How long you think that will simmer but not boil over?"
Slamming the door behind him, he gets down and heads inside the Circle K. He thinks he knows how to handle women. His wife handles him. Besides, I'd say things would be already done balled over. I contemplate leaving him here. With Auguste waiting, it's not an option. I'm stuck between all these gossiping women, spineless men, and Auguste Chenavut. The truck door opens, and he gets back in without a word. "So you're an expert on relationships now, mister? I had a private eye on my ass."
That private eye got on my ass because of the stupid shit I've been doing with you.
You're going to blame me for your marriage problems?
No, not all of them. Only the ones where things were fine until you showed up. It's never enough for you. You see beer and you have to have whiskey. You see a bar and you have to have a strip club. You didn't complain all the time. We pull back up into his house and Auguste is loading the MIG gear back into his truck. Don't come around anymore, John. At least not for a while. Not until I tell you it's okay.
What is happening to all the people in my life? It's like a damn conspiracy. Why can't it just be easy like it used to? Before all this 90s family man bullshit started, I stick by my kids and my wife. Why do I get punished for being successful and not trash? The last thing I need is Auguste getting into me about something. I don't want to get out of the truck, but disrespecting the old man like that is not an option, at least not for me. Dud gets out and hands Auguste a six-pack. No, I only need one.
Go ahead, Mr. Chenavut. I don't drink that brand.
What's wrong with you? You too good for what made Milwaukee famous?
I'll stick to what makes Dudley drunk. How much do I owe you for the weld?
Ben?
Oh, come on, Mr. Chenavut. That was at least a $75 weld.
I keep the beer and we call it even.
Well, bien, monsieur. You want to come inside and drink it or sit on the swing?
No, I need to go. Tell your wife I said hello.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chenoweth, John. Yeah, I better go too. Was just passing by to say hello, you know. Yeah, probably just as good. Dud can't look at me when he talks to me now. I got some dishes to save. Y'all take care now. Dud makes his exit, leaving me and Auguste Chenoweth under the big oak trees. Auguste takes a long swig of his Schlitz, and then offers me one. We drink in silence, leaning against our respective trucks. Him against the old Ford, and me against my 2-year-old Chevy. I'd like an old truck like his, but I don't want to put in all that work to keep it running. We finish our beers without saying a word. You want to go have a beer in a bar somewhere? We can get some ice from Dud to keep those cold. Don't worry about ice. Schlitz is still good when they get hot. At City Bar in Maurice, there are more beer selections for me. The bar is peppered with the typical amount of people you'd expect a bar in Maurice on a weekend afternoon. Auguste's brow furrows when they tell him they don't have Schlitz. The double jack I ordered him seems to put him in a better mood. That's a nice hat, I say, eyeing the new red hat with the pig stitched onto it. It doesn't acknowledge my attempt to start conversation with him. Auguste Chenoweth! An aging man calls before hobbling over. Monsieur Carmelion! Comme c'est va? Je ne peux pas appeler Camor. Non plus. Monsieur Carmelion. This my son-in-law, John Moulton. The old man hobbles forward and locks my hand in an iron grip. His cloudy eyes come closer to my face than I'm comfortable with. It seems like any second his big hooked nose will brush against mine. I knew your daddy, John. You look like him, but with a big old belly. It's from all that good food my wife cooks, I say while patting it and looking at Auguste. Your daddy helped me out of malchance. Oh, you call that bad luck? Oh, yeah? You work for Philip Leonard? Yes, sir. My eyes dart back to my father-in-law, who is paying perfect attention. Philip worked for me when he was a young man. He's a hard worker, him. You stick with that good company. Yes, sir. Nice to meet you, Mr. Gramillion. Auguste, c'est un verre chapon. Je connais. Sitting back in his stool, he takes a long sip of his whiskey and smiles to himself. These are the moments I always lived in dread of. His smiles always say he knows something, but he never lets me in on what it is. If I had to choose between his cryptic silences and my father's tendency to purge every nasty little thing he thought while whipping us, I might choose 2 whippings. What? I ask. Oh, I'm smiling about Gramillion and you, Daddy. What happened with them? Feeling my jaw clench, I wait for a story about my father inconsistent with my memory. Your daddy just talked his way alongside Gramillion into a bad deal. Then he talked both of them out of it with an extra $500.
You and your daddy have that in common. Y'all can talk to people in circles.
Not since my wedding day, when Auguste smiled at me unendingly, have I felt this good. These people I'm around all of the time never seem to see what I'm capable of. My own boss doesn't appreciate how my gift of gab made him successful. Yet, here is a man whom I barely talk to who gets it. He takes a big gulp of the whiskey and sets it down on the counter with a bang. He stares at the empty glass until the bartender silently refills it. He takes another sip.
You daddy told me one time you more American than Cajun.
Here we go. I'll have to listen to laments about how our way of life changed after the wars and the oil companies. Nobody talks about how connecting to the rest of America, to commerce and industry, made us strong again. Everybody forgets how our forefathers in rebel gray fought to make sure we have the same rights and opportunities as other men. We're not stuck in fields and swamps anymore. The food, the music, the good times we can keep. Get rid of all that other nostalgic crap. I don't think Cajun means much anymore. I say to my beer, hoping he'll stop talking about the past.
That company got you thinking. You something you not. Come tu n'es pas Cajun. You don't think you still Cajun or something, écoute? You daddy was rough on y'all, probably too rough. He drank like you, and it brought out his bad side. But he didn't lie like you. And he didn't stay gone all the time. That's not Cajun just today. I raised you, boy. I tied your daughter, and I gave a shoulder to your wife. All before I helped you cousin, and then came drinking with you. That's being a man. That's Cajun.
It's not like Auguste to stick his nose in other people's business. If he knew how rough my father really was, he'd know I would have preferred him gone. I would have preferred a soft lie to any one of my daddy's hard truths. I'm a refined product of my father. I do well despite what he did to me, not because of it. I've put too much stock into Auguste Chenoweth's take on things. He can't call me out and then try to make me apologize for doing what my job makes me do, what he himself just said I was good at. He, of all people, should know there's more to being a man than just hanging around your family. Mr. Chenoweth,
before your wife was born, I had a neighbor, a Broussard, who lived down the road. I helped with his crawfish. His brother died one day. I learned one day the dead brother's wife, Broussard's sister-in-law, pulled Broussard aside and told him her son had been messing around with her daughter. The wife never told her husband because she thought he'd kill his son. She didn't know what was right now her husband was gone. A couple of weeks after the funeral, my neighbor got sick with pneumonia. I told him I'd work his pawns. I did. No. That's too much chocus. But I went ahead and I took his pirogue and started working. It was warmer that day. I worked my way to the back corner, to the shade of a water oak. The traps under there were full of crawfish. That's when I saw Brass's nephew, the one that messed with his sister. He must have been there for 2 or 3 days. I never told Brassard what I saw or nobody else.
I take a sip of my beer. My son finally acts like a man, and then backs down when his mommy gets a little pissed. My daughter is screwing some black man. At work, my best friend goes from the good kind of crazy to the bad kind. Dudley turns out to be no better than my son. And now this. What is this? What the hell is that story supposed to mean? Is it trying to teach me something? Good story, Mr. Chenoweth. Come to my truck. I want to show you something. Out of the last bit of respect I have for him, I follow him to the old Ford. The sky got dark fast tonight. I drain my beer to help tolerate whatever coon-ass wisdom he's gonna try and impart. At the door of his truck, he stops. He spins toward me faster than I can follow. With his fist raised, my fists go up too. Hit me, John! What? Pourquoi? He yells before trying to land a left hook. I block it as he takes a jab at my chin. I duck it. You been wanting to fight someone you whole life, boy. I owns, he says before faking another left hook before landing a solid fist to my gut. I back off from strike range and look at him. The fire in me is lit, burning where his fist was, but it won't get to my arms or my feet. When I finally get my feet to move, they spin me toward my truck. As I try to slide into the cab, I hear, "Settle for d'arte, ton miserable, not dem tuve, ta familie. You understand? Go pray, John. Take care of that family. Latte pa la patate." Chapter 42. What I need is my bar with my people. The bartenders at Perrin's on the edge of Lafayette can tell I've had a bad day because they bring out my Bud Lights 2 at a time. Talking to the mayor of Guidan, I find out what's happening with crawfish season. It helps to calm me down from the fight I never wanted to happen. The mayor complains the 2 brothers, who no one seems to know the names of, still got their hands wrapped around all that crawfish in that little town. They forbid anyone to let them distribute unless it's through them. If anyone does, they make sure no one is buying. The mayor sure seems worried. All I can think about is how genius this is. Once I'm on the other side of business like them, I won't have bad days like today. I'll call the shots. And I could not have called a shot better than Linda walking through the door. Ending up in her bed tonight will be some salve on this shit day. Her face drops after her eyes adjust to the dark and she sees me. She's done up even nicer than usual. She walks over to me and orders a drink.
You're here early.
She grumbles. Shitty day, figured I'd get busy making it better. You walked in and helped that out. She doesn't even smile. She sips her cranberry vodka and chats with the bartender. Stroking her upper arm softly, I try to get her attention. She turns and pulls her arm away. What's wrong with you?
John, I'm meeting someone else here in a little bit. That's fine. It's another guy, John.
Red fire burns through my scalp and in my chest, but I don't bother pulling my collar over my purple scar. My hand dents my can a little, but I stop short of crushing it.
Don't act pissed. I've been a good side girl for you. Time's up.
You weren't even going to talk to me about it?
Not much to say about it. You can't end something that never was. I had fun, John. You should know that.
She thinks she can do that. She thinks she can make that decision. The fire rages. No point in trying to contain it anymore. Let's go outside and talk more about it. She peers into my eyes like she's studying them. Then a look spreads across her face. It's a look like bees when she's had that knife in her hand.
No, I'm good. I'll go drink at the end of the bar.
We need to finish this conversation, I say firmly, letting her know it's not a negotiation. Linda looks at Trudy, who's been watching while stocking beer in the back cooler. Trudy wipes her hands on her ass as she walks up to us.
You look like you're still thirsty, John.
Not now.
John, you leave this woman alone, you hear?
So you've been telling people about this behind my back? Wait, has he been here before?
John, you best calm down or you're gonna have to leave.
Trudy barks. How many times has he been here?
John, I'm warning you.
Calm down, Trudy. It's a little domestic dispute. She's a big girl. She gets to pick who she spends her time with. In fact, let me buy you a drink, Linda.
No, thank you.
Linda responds coldly.
Linda, go head on to the back, John. You either sit still in that chair or leave.
How'd you turn against me, Trudy?
Ain't nobody turned against you, John. You act like an ass at my bar, and your ass gets kicked. Same rules as always.
A few quick chugs and I finish my beer. When I pay, I grab Trudy's hand and slip her $100 bill. She looks at it and her eyes narrow.
You can't pay me to let you hurt her.
She stuffs the bill in what must have been my open fly.
Get your ass out of here right now.
At the hole in the wall in Scott, they don't kick people out when they get too drunk. They can't afford to when I'm 1/3 of the business. I feed the jukebox and listen to Hank Williams Jr. and Sr. on repeat. A hankering to dance appears, but there are no women in this place. Stumbling to my truck, I go to call Linda on my car phone, but I must pass out. I'm roused out of a dream by my car phone. The dream was the same. There was me and a frying pan of burning roux. This time it was me with the frying pan, throwing the roux not on my daddy, but on a gusty Chinavut. As his skin burned, he opened his mouth to scream. The scream ended up being the car phone. Hoping it's Linda, I reach down and see a number I don't recognize. My wife tells me my father-in-law was in wreck and it's not looking too good. Without letting her finish her explanation, I start up the truck, promising to be there in a little bit. It's a miracle I make it there in one piece. Grabbing the mouthwash I keep under my seat, I take a big swig, swish, and swallow. It's hard to get my feet to move straight, but I find a rhythm. I've done this enough before. Inside his room, I can hear my wife bitching at someone. So I decide to knock. I find my sister-in-law and my wife hovering over Auguste Chenavut, looking at Auguste, pale and still, a little bloody, lifeless, makes the world come into focus. I'm suddenly sober, completely clear-headed. His arms, which I always took for sturdy rods, are limp on top of the sheets. There are so many tubes and bandages, they cover up the strength I'd come to trust. From the looks on the women's faces and the lack of machine noise, I know he's dead. A terrible thought arrives. I was the last person to see him alive. Oh, shit! I got him all drunk and pissed before I took off. Oh, shit! My whole body feels blistered and raw, like my skin after the roux. Except this is much worse. Chapter 43. They said it was a stroke, but I know I killed him. On the day of his funeral, I decide I shouldn't drink. I'm a mess. The funeral director closes the lid. The noise it makes sounds exactly like when my daddy landed the first punch after I stood up to him. To the outside world, these noises are brief and not very loud. But these echo throughout my life. The difference between the noises and the way I react to them can only be seen in the men who created them. One noise started the explosion, which left the fire to burn anyone who gets close. The other noise shuts off the possibility of learning how to put out that fire. As if answering my fear of never getting to extinguish what's inside of me, liquid begins to pour from my face again. I nearly drop the casket. It gets worse when I go into a church for the first time in almost a decade. It smells the same as the day I married Beatrice in here. The day Auguste was so proud of me, maybe for the last time. B believes the stroke made him miss the exit, I think the stroke sent him over. But being drunk on the whiskey I was feeding him likely made him blow past his exit. The drinking, the fighting, and being out at night were all things that killed him. Those are the things from my world. It's my world that killed him. If it could kill the strongest man I've ever known, then why doesn't it kill me? Am I stronger than even Auguste Chenoweth? Likely not. Nuclear fallout doesn't kill cockroaches, but it doesn't turn them into unicorns either. He did everything for them. I've done everything for me. All this money, this work, this good timing doesn't make anyone respect me more than they did him. Since I'm the one who took him from them, I'm not sure I respect me much either. During the Mass, people come up and say some of the nicest things. They tell stories about how Auguste changed them, made them into better people. He fixed their motor. After a storm, he helped them clear a fallen tree. I should stand up and say what he did for me, how he showed me what a good man is. He cared about what I do more than I do. It always felt like he was getting in my business. He wanted the best for me. He cared what happened to me more than my own blood, more than my daughter, more than my kids. They can screw themselves. Crap! If I said that up there, Auguste would rise from his coffin to crucify me right next to Jesus. He would tell me to do right by my family as he drove nails in my wrist. Shit! That's what his goddamn story at the bar was about. Doing right is bigger than family, more important than money or your job. It's what makes a man. Without it, evil will eat everything, your family, your job, you, from the inside. I'm sorry about your father-in-law, John. Old man Leonard says from the doorway of my office. Listen. Take the time you need for that Orcon guy. If you get him, great. If not, whatever. Thanks. I say, I can't find anything to follow it up with. He smiles and goes back to his office. I'm taking that as a sign. I walk out into the shop to where Yank has the MiG torch burning away. He turns after I shout his name. Hey man, I'm sorry I acted like that around your girl. It's all right, John. I appreciate it. You want to go grab lunch? Not today. Maybe another time. Oh yeah, good. Back at my desk, I start looking for what sounds good for lunch. I'm usually counting minutes before I can go to a bar and grill. Today, I'm wondering where it would be quiet. It'd even be nice to have some church-type quiet. It reminds me of how Auguste told me I should invest more time there. My memory is getting better since I quit drinking. I leave the shop before I start crying. Voices mumble sins in little confessionals at the back of St. John's Cathedral. I can't do it. The priest couldn't handle it anyway. If I told him about all the women I've had affairs with, all the times I chose drinking over spending time with my kids, all the ways I tried to steal Leonard's shop from underneath him and finished it with how I killed Auguste Chenoweth, whom The priest would likely know since everyone knew him. That poor bastard would collapse right there in the confessional. And then I'd have to say I killed a priest. He'd tell me I made my son a wimpy excuse for a man. I drove my daughter to black men. And I might as well have put that knife in my wife's hand. As I listen to the muted mumbles, it's comforting knowing someone, even if it can't be me, will walk out of that little room cleaner than they came in. I try to absorb their peace. During Mass, I go through the motions. We get to the part where we get to confess our sins in silence. This we'll have to do. That man in the sky is just like my real father. He doesn't give guidance, doesn't give forgiveness, and never says he's sorry. Even Auguste Chenevert was better than that. No one seems to mind when I elect to stay on my kneeler during communion. When it's over, I stay in the pew, even as the lights go out. When the last person leaves, when it's been silent for more than 15 minutes, the tears come back. I won't be somebody he can be proud of for a long time. There might not be enough masses to attend, good deeds to do, or confessions to make. I've heard undoing takes longer than doing. If so, I'll be spending the rest of my life undoing. I killed him after all. Take care of that family, he said. His thick accent rings in my head. That is where I could start undoing. It would be easier to start with the kids. There seems to be a little bit there to work with, unlike with B. But if I'm going to do things the way Auguste Chenevert would do them, I have to start with the hardest part first, my wife. And I need to start acting like a married couple. Old Leonard would understand if I need to take the afternoon off. He's understood a lot. I'll wait in my recliner until she comes home and we can fix our marriage. Luckily, I don't have long to wait. Hey, why are you home so early?
Need the rest of the day off.
Hungry?
Not really.
You want to go to Judas Inn for a burger? To my surprise, she agrees. On the ride, I feel like crying. Every time I swallow, I'm stifling the urge to say how much I miss her father. There's plenty of room in this truck for me to say I'm sorry for whatever would have made her want to come at me with a knife. There's probably lots going back years I need to apologize for. I could even tell her things are over between me and Linda. Instead, I say nothing. At Judas Inn, I go ahead and order. I thought she'd be impressed at my ability to remember she liked the double burger with grilled onions every Thursday night before we had kids. I even order fries, knowing they don't serve them just to try and make her laugh. She doesn't bat an eye. And when she doesn't say anything while we eat, I realize this is not going to be like I had it in my head. I was about to lay it all out there. She looks like she couldn't care less.
Why'd you bring me here?
She finally speaks. Thought you'd like to come to our old stomping grounds.
It's very nice, John.
Maybe this could go right, but then she asks,
Can we go home?
Why?
I think I need to be alone.
Oh, okay. Here I am, doing what I'm supposed to do, what her father would want me to do. And she's playing tough guy. You can't ever make this woman happy. My foot presses down on the gas. But before the fire makes it up to my face or through my hands, I remember Auguste Chenevert never did this. He never let a bad feeling stand in the way of doing what he thought was right. That was part of his last story, too. Some secrets you hold in and manage yourself like a man. No one can take care of it for me. So when we arrive home, I decide to try again. B tries to retreat and gets all the way to the bedroom. She looks surprised to see I've followed her. Looking at her face, past jowls and crow's feet, is the face of a dark-eyed beauty. You know you're still a pretty woman, Beatrice. I haven't told you that enough.
Thanks, John.
She's so damned cold. I don't know why she's acting this way. Seems to me a normal person might want to connect with their long-lost husband, prodigal son style. Fat lot of good church did her. Standing at the door, Auguste's charge nags at me. His face from our wedding day looms. I want to be worthy of pride again. Mustering what I have left of my dignity, I walk toward me and kiss her like husbands are supposed to kiss their wives when they love them. I get her back to the bed and start undressing her. She finally starts kissing me back. She doesn't seem all that into it, but she's not stopping either. I've gotten too used to the way Linda is in bed. B is wearing worn-out cotton panties instead of red or black thongs like I'm used to. The sex is even more awkward than the panties. It's like she's forgotten what to do. Damn! It can't have been that long. Her face is the worst part. She stares up at me with this flat look. She could be watching one of her chick flicks on the ceiling for all I can tell. This is not how it's supposed to be. I stop. Even when I try to do the right thing, it comes out all wrong. I was never good enough for my dad, and I won't be good enough for B. So there's not much hope I'd be good enough for Auguste Chenevert's memory. I wait for the fire to arrive in my chest, setting the scar on my neck ablaze. Something moves from deep down in my gut. When it reaches my head, it turns into tears, more God-damned tears. They make me sick to my stomach. I grab my clothes and start getting dressed. She heads to the bathroom like she always does. I swallow hard a few times, praying I will eventually get to live Mr. Chenevert's life. The thought is interrupted by B rushing out to the bathroom, her shirt barely on, grabbing her keys, and then heading out of the doorway. "Where are you going?" I call. She doesn't answer. What feels right? No, what feels normal is to head to a bar. Slipping into a cold can would be a homecoming. This was stupid. This has been broken for years. Auguste couldn't even get this to work. Whatever he was trying to get me to do, it won't happen. Maybe I'm more like what my father said I was than I'm willing to admit. Fine, fuck him. That drunk son of a bitch gave me nothing that ended up being worth anything. My life didn't get better until I went to college and met B and became Auguste's son-in-law. I'll never get to tell Auguste. He saved my life. All I can do now is figure out the right thing and keep doing it, hoping he sees it all. I go to my recliner in the living room and wait for B to come home. Chapter 44. Morning touches the recliner, but Beatrice does not. The action movies ran out on cable. I stare at the local news. The guy who gives the fishing report is entertaining. The door finally opens behind me. Where'd you go? I've been waiting up all night.
I went out.
Since when do you go out?
Life keeps moving while you're gone.
I'm sorry about yesterday. I think your dad's death is hitting me harder than I thought. Her eyes lock on mine. Before I think she will say something, she turns and heads for the coffee pot in the kitchen. He said I have to keep trying. Latte pa la patate. I waited up all night for you. She acts like she doesn't hear me and makes coffee. Sitting down at the table, she remains silent. I've been doing the right thing all night. She has to meet me halfway.
You're not gonna say something? What do you want me to say, John?
I was hoping you'd say you understand that you're sad too.
You don't think I'm sad, John?
You're not acting like it.
Because I don't have that luxury. I'm in pain every day knowing I can't go back. That I have to go forward trying to make sense of the world he left us and build something out of it.
This shit again. If she could just see how hard I'm trying. B, please don't be a martyr right now. Leaving the kitchen so she can pout, it starts to feel like progress. At least she's talking. She'll come back in, say she's sorry, and we can start doing this thing right. My recliner feels comfortable again. I watch the news a few more minutes, and she's back in the house. But when she stands in front of the TV, blocking my view, I know this is not normal. She thinks she can railroad me like she tried before, but there's no knife in her hand today. So now you expect me to talk when you want to? I ask.
Yes, I do. Because I'm not going to do things the old way anymore. Just because that's what we've done. Everything is going to change. If you want to leave me, if you're that unhappy, you can go with my blessing. I'm done being hurt by you, but I'm not leaving. Because this is my family, and I'm going to do it my way, the right way. I'm not letting what you've done change that.
That was it. That was any chance we had at being good again. She screwed any chance at forgiveness. I should hit her. I want to show her she can't stand over me, telling me I've done everything wrong again. But I can't do it, because she's right. She's doing what Auguste Chenavut would do, something I can't seem to do. Hitting her would have been what Daddy would have done. When he threw that Roux on me, he burned something into me I can't seem to get rid of. Something that's just in me. The best I can do from here is to give her what I think she wants and maybe deserves. I get dressed like I always do, pack the bag I always pack, and leave out the back door where I always make my exit. I'm only a mile from home when the phone in my truck rings. It's the company man. Well, ain't it a coincidence you're calling me this early? I chide with all my practiced warmth. Had no idea I'd catch you. Why is it a coincidence? I was just about to head to New Orleans. Oh no, I'm done with that place. It beat you? Hell no, I feel like I beat it. Can you give me another shot at the title? Maybe let's talk business first, he says. You in town? Let's do it over Bloody Marys. You ever been to Fred's in Mammo? He seems to understand my direction on how to find Tante Sue dancing with her hot damn in her holster. Heading north, I stop to grab coffee. There are cheap baseball caps hanging from the plastic case of cigarettes. I buy one to commemorate Auguste's last hat. A thought occurs to me. What if Mr. Chenavut wasn't too drunk to miss the exit? What if there was some cajun, some side piece he was crossing the basin to go find? He never made mention of it, but then again, why would he? That would make Auguste Chenavut a lot easier to understand and even easier to be like. Linda loves Fred's. I bet I could convince her to join us.
Let him go, Derek. Fuck this dude. Here.
She counts out 800 and sticks it in the big dude's pocket. Pulling on my door desperately, I will it to open. It doesn't budge. This is the most jammed it's ever been. My truck has betrayed me. He walks towards me.
What the hell do you think you're doing?
Wanted to see if I could open it up for you.
Back the fuck up! I don't know you!
He puts his hands up like I have a gun on him. I'm Dave Johnson. I play on the football team I was walking by.
Don't lie to me! There's nothing back here for you to be walking by!
Coach had us at the stadium and...
It's not even a stadium! It's called Cajun Field!
The emphasis in the name should remind him who belongs here, no matter what his class is. Okay, Field, whatever. I was heading back to my apartment.
Stop lying! There aren't any apartments near here!
Bo Chine's apartments aren't too far. It didn't occur to me that he could be living here on the white side of town. This guy must really not be from around here. Still, Bo Chine's is a long walk, barely wearing a shirt in 60-degree weather. We're in this standoff, his hands up, mine on the door handle, refusing to budge. We both look at each other and realize We're studying one another. His eyes size up my big Cajun curls, my thick eyebrows that need to be plucked, my button French nose above my pawpaw's thick chin, and the muscles in my arms. His eyes didn't go down to my round bottom like all the other black men's eyes do. He watches me. I take stock of his close-cropped hair, his dark, stained cypress skin, his long nose, his square shoulders. Despite his powerful frame, his movements are easy and gentle. The pieces of my life getting squeezed in the locker room crash up against all this weirdness between me